Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, so Gamora Champion Spotlight is out and oh boy does she look amazing. But her abilities don't. Let's take a look at them. Now, I will be upfront. The too long didn't read version is that it's another Nova / Ronin / whatever buff that completely misses the point. That is a numbers update that, what's the best way to say? Effectively will increase her damage slightly, but that has never been the problem. The problem with current Gamora is that it's impossible to throw heavy attacks as frequently as needed in vast majority of the fights. Therefore, the problem is with the playstyle, not with what she does. And obviously a lack of utility. And that same thing here remains. Now, I'm not gonna make this video into a rant, but the buff is bad. I don't think anybody expects much from this buff. And we're going to break it down. I'm going to explain everything that has changed, but I will be making a separate video citing our dear Kabam of the increase in quality of the buffs as a reasoning for dropping down to 2 buffs a month. Anyways, that's going to be a separate video for later today or tomorrow. I do have quite a few uploads planned, but let's get to the meat and bones of this. So, prestige-wise, it's bad. Bad. Ability is exactly the same as it used to be, except now she has additional ability to bypass miss if she has 10 or more buffs active. Right, so, let's just jump in there. Light attacks, 35% chance to gain a Fury buff, increasing 609 for 9 seconds. Medium attacks, 35% chance to gain a Cruelty buff, increasing by 207 for 9 seconds. Let's compare it to what it is on Aunt May. Light attack, 30% chance, so both of these have gotten 5% chance increase, so you will be proccing your Furies and Cruelties slightly faster. Fury is exactly as potent as it used to be. Cruelty seems to be weaker. They reduce the potency of Cruelty. Cool. Always active. Gamora's personal buffs gain 1.5% duration for every 1 second that have passed during the fight. Max bonus 60%. If Gamora has 10 or more personal buffs active, her attacks cannot miss. Now, that theory would be good, but if you are fighting in a scenario where there is a significant chance of you missing attacks, being able to get to 10 on average every third hit nets you a buff. So it means that you would have to drop on average 30 hits, which is about the time it takes for you to reach level 2 or level 3. Assuming you keep refreshing all of them with the heavy attack, which is still the only way to refresh them, which is the biggest problem of her kit. Yeah, she's not going to be the greatest miss counter. She just won't be. Simple as that. The change here is 1.5% duration for every 1 second. Previously, it used to be 5% duration for every 5 seconds. So they increased it from 1% per second basically to 1.5% per second. But still, it is the maximum 60%. It's just, it's going to happen slightly faster. At max increase, these buffs will last for about 14-15 seconds. Which is, again, the problem, because it's just not long enough. You often have to base it in between you baiting out opponents' special attacks, in between you getting in your own combos to gain these buffs, and then consistently dropping heavy attacks. From my personal experience, it is a quite finicky, risky, and most importantly, extremely dangerous task of trying to weave in your special attacks, for instance, in between those heavy attacks at the same time baiting out special attacks. It's just not an overly practical playstyle in plenty of situations. Heavy attacks is still exactly the same. Well, there is a slight change, because previously it used to be Cruelty and Fury buffs. Now heavy attacks refresh all personal buffs. So there might be some interesting interactions with some nodes where nodes grant you buffs that could expire. And she can also refresh her True Strike. But again, her True Strike is still only available on level 3. And that tells me that even she's as much of a True Strike champion now as Spider-Man 2099 is your slow option. It just isn't. If it's on level 3, Doesn't really matter how powerful that ability is. If we're talking stuff that's needed fast, it's not gonna happen. But yes, heavy attacks can refresh all personal buffs now. That's kind of neat. More on special attacks. Gamora begins each fight with a Godslayer strike ready, which has 65% chance to activate during each special attack. Once Godslayer strike is used, it goes on cooldown for 100 seconds. Now, this Godslayer thing previously used to be her signature ability. And the cooldown, however, must cool down for 50 to 25 seconds. They have significantly increased the cooldown. Significantly. Previously, it was as little as 25 seconds. Now, even with max ability, it's going to be at least, bare minimum, 80 seconds. So her Godslayer strike is too powerful. And they literally made it 3 times longer, at best of circumstance. Cool. And then some of the other signature ability buffs have been kind of placed on the special attacks themselves. As in, like, special 1 now, 100% critical hit chance, which I believe it used to have before. Yes, 100% critical hit chance, and bleed 2, 4, 3, 7, or 5 seconds. 2, 4, 3, 7, or 5 seconds. So bleed has not been changed at all. It's just that you get the signature ability Godslayer bonus on her base kit. That changes pretty much nothing. Same case here with level 2, except for level 2 we have armor breaks whose potency I believe has been reduced, but duration increased. So 525, 18 seconds. It used to be 700 for 14 seconds. So they reduced the armor break potency, but increased the duration. And again, this bonus is on base kit now instead of signature ability. And level 3 is again pretty much exactly the same. I think there is a slight increase in the True Strike buff from 9 seconds to... there's a decrease. My bad. Why would I think it's an increase? They decreased the True Strike buff from 11 seconds to 9 seconds, but you can refresh it now. And signature ability is much more simple now. Gamora's skill with the Godslayer grows, increasing her chance to activate it during special attacks to 100%. Additionally, the cooldown is reduced to 20 seconds. Okay, cool. Never mind. So I made a little bit of a mistake. I thought the cooldown is reduced by 20 seconds, but if the cooldown is reduced to 20 seconds, then I suppose it's slightly better. But the buff itself, it doesn't really feel like a buff. It feels like a rejiggling of her abilities, more or less. A tiny, tiny bit of an increase. I generally don't think anybody's going to really remember that this champion has gotten buffed 2 months from now. I don't think there's any point to buff like this. Effectively, they have reduced potencies of cruelties, left fury is the same, left total duration exactly the same, slightly increased the speed that you can increase the duration of furies and cruelties, and let her in some circumstances keep True Strike active for the entire fight, but for whatever reason felt the need to reduce the duration of it regardless. She is going to be slightly better version of herself. She's not going to do anything that she didn't do before. And she's not going to be used by anything by 99% of the people playing this game. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. As I said, I will probably make another rantier video about what does this mean and how full of dog feces Shabam's post evidently has been already. But as far as it goes for the buff itself, it changes nothing. I don't think it does. I don't think Gamora is worth investing in all of a sudden. She has always been okay questing champion with decent kind of like burst damage, and in some few exceptional cases you can like build up some crazy damage numbers. But then you must have very, 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 very simple basic fight where you don't have to sit through long special animations where opponent is cooperating with you by throwing special attacks. You can play her well in Realm of Legends and maybe a couple of other more simple fights. Fights that literally any other champion could take, probably. Her only new ability now is to bypass miss on the basic hits with 10 buffs, and it's not good enough. None of this buff is good enough. So yeah, it's even kind of painful to call it a buff. Technically it is, because even if they increase her damage by 1%, it's a buff. But this is a buff that can be vomited together in 5 minutes by a toddler. Shame. It really is a shame. As I said, we'll talk about it a bit later on. For now, if you do have Gamora, don't get carried away. I had a choice of my Summer Pain Nexus in between picking a new Symbiote Spidey or Awakening Gamora. Hoped Gamora's buff is going to be worthwhile. Now I severely regret not just picking Symbiote Spidey as a new champion. I think that says about enough. That's it for now, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information